Welcome to the Jon Krull Show. I am your host, Jason Zaleski, and visiting with Coach Stevens Point Panthers boys basketball coach Jon Krull. Coach, in Wisconsin, every now and then we do get a game postponement or a cancellation, depending on the nature of that game. I don't remember, though, having two in the same week. That happened last week. We were gameless. Your boys were anyway gameless last week. What do you do in a week like that to keep the kids engaged, keep them entertained, and keep them focused?
Yeah, it's tougher. I mean, when you hit this time of the year in Wisconsin, you never know where you're going to get. And hopefully, in a week, you only get one postponement. We were lucky enough to have two. So, you got to first find time to be able to get back in the gym, right? So, when there's no school, we're an off day, and we talk about our off days, throughout the season, using them to re-energize, mentally, get your body right physically, get more rest if you need to. But then when we're back in practice and on the floor, then we got to make sure that we stay crisp and if you lose it multiple days in a week, you don't want to fall behind on stuff, and we got to make sure that we still keep our edge and keep our mind focused on what we're trying to do, and then figure out who our next opponent is, and then where games are being put in the schedule and how we got to adapt. And that's what the game of basketball really is. It's adapting to change, and things change in scheduling, and we just got to adapt and move forward.
A pair of road games for the Stevens Point Panthers boys basketball team. We'll talk about those coming up next.
An SCS apartment or home is where you want to live, work, and play all throughout central Wisconsin. Look to SC Swiderski to make you feel right at home. The Stevens Point Brewery is a proud sponsor of local high school athletics. Experience the many refreshing flavors of Point Gourmet sodas. Handcrafted in small batches, each flavor is perfected for your enjoyment. From tasty black cherry cream to the world-famous Point Root beer, every bottle is in the house. Point Heating and Cooling in Stevens Point and Plover, with more than 100 years of making your home and business comfortable. Call Point Heating and Cooling or visit pointheating.com. Turn your house into a home and shop home furniture. Home Furniture on Post Road in Plover. When it comes to customized apparel or your local sports team apparel, turn to Maida in Stevens Point. From corporate outings to outfitting your club or sports team, Maida has all you could need.
As we continue today's Jon Krull Show, Coach, Appleton East, road game on Tuesday. Let's first talk about the coaching matchup. Turner Botts over in the Fox Valley, a legend, basketball legend over there. A number of years ago, he helped take his UWGB team to an NCAA tournament berth, and he's kind of basketball central over that way. And so with that, he'll have his team ready to go on Tuesday night.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's had an outstanding basketball career as a player, and now, getting into his basketball coaching career over there at East. He's done a great job with that program, and they're a little bit younger and inexperienced at the beginning of this year, but they've been building and they've been getting better. And they have a lot of pieces over there that can definitely hurt you on the offensive end, and then they have some good size that makes it tough to get to the rim and on the defensive side for them. So they'll definitely be ready. We know that. That's what that league is over there. They know that every night's going to be a tough one, a grinder for the entire 36 or more. We'll have our hands full. It'll be a good test for us to go over there on the road on a Tuesday night with having this break. With no games last week. It'll be a good test and see where we are here kind of at the midpoint of the season, and hopefully we can go over there and play well.
I'll have the call on Tuesday night. La Chapelle, Presta Giacomo, those two go for 25. What's the plan to get me to say their names less on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I mean, you're never with offensive scoring like those two can and shoot it and score in multiple positions. We just have to make it tough. We've played against some very strong offensive scoring guards this year. We just have to make sure that we're there. They see us all the time. We got a hand. They got to got to limit kind of not necessarily their touches. They're going to get touches and they're going to get their points. They're just outstanding offensive players. But we have to make it tougher on them. Really make them work for some touches, some open looks. Hopefully, we limit those, and then try to get them off their spots. They can get to their spots pretty easily at times, and they shoot it well from there. So we got to make sure we can, veer them off spots and crowd them and make them see multiple guys.
For your guys offensively, where do you think you can have some success against Appleton East?
Yeah, I think, for us to be able to stretch out, a lot of teams with our bigs, we got to make their bigs, guard the ball and guard off the ball and guard, the entire defensive end. But then we got to make sure that we're able to, I think our guards are a little bit bigger, so we got to be able to score inside at times if it's post up or whatever. But, if we can space and share that ball and make the extra passes, I think we'll have a chance to knock down some outside shots and then potentially get at the rim when they're getting extended.
Coach, you come into the game undefeated 12-0. They are 3-6. You touched on it a little bit earlier, though, playing in that Fox Valley League. That 3-6 can look a little bit different maybe than people think it does.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a tough conference over there. They know that. They play a lot of conference games, and if you look at their scores, it's not blowout scores. They're in games. They may have a bad stretch here and there at times, but a couple different things go their way, you could flip that record. When you're over there, and especially with them, trying to build some experience. I think early in the season they're building on it, and I wouldn't be shocked if they make a little run here and get on a winning streak. Hopefully it starts after Tuesday, but yeah, I mean, they're going to be ready. These two conferences, ours and theirs, a lot of teams play against each other. They know what to expect when going into those games.
Let's talk about the road trips at Appleton East Tuesday, and then over at Wisconsin Rapids, a conference opponent though that day. So maybe a little more familiar, but what are some of the techniques that you teach your guys on how to handle a road trip?
Yeah, I mean, we got a stretch here. We've been talking about it for a while. We know it's coming up, and we actually have 3 road trips this week because Friday we go up to Wausau East, and then the reschedule of Rapids on Saturday. And then next week we go down to Wanakee on a road trip. So we got 4 road trips here, and we've talked about it. It's a stretch where it's tough to play on the road, right? And when you play on the road multiple times in a week and against quality opponents, you got to make sure you attack your practice time and make sure that you understand what we're trying to do on the offensive end and defensive end. And at times we got to put in multiple scout reports on stuff when you got back-to-back games. So we got to be on our toes. It'll be a tough week. It'll be a good week for us to be able to see where we're at in this kind of scheduling area right now with multiple games in a week, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Coach, thanks for the correction. Wausau East Friday. Jack Rozicki on the call for that one. We look forward to all 3 games this week, and we'll be with you for all 3 of them right here on Zaleski Sports. Every now and then, coaches look for a little inspiration. Perhaps that came from the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night. We'll talk to Coach about that coming up.
Ag Country Farm Credit Services is a farmer-owned co-op offering a wide array of custom financing and financial services. Contact Ag Country in Stevens Point, 715-344-1000. Andy Hoff and Cindy LaChapelle of Hoff Favor Real Estate Group are your local Stevens Point realtors. That's Andy Hoff and Cindy LaChapelle of Hoff Favor Real Estate. Nickel Lay Bank offers personal banking at its best. Nickel Lay Bank of Stevens Point, 715-254-3400 and nickellaybank.com. For your next catering, birthday party, family night out, or just lunch on the move, make it a delicious, cheesy, Chicago-style deep dish slice from the one and the only Rocky Rococo's in Stevens Point.
Green Bay Packers with a playoff win on Sunday. To a lot of people, unexpected. All the experts were on Dallas. Green Bay, though, comes in, Coach, with a lesser record, and it looked like on paper a lesser team, but I know coaches, and I know you're always looking for things to kind of help inspire your team, and that information may become helpful later on, perhaps come playoff time. And you at your current pace, you may play a team with a lesser record, and talking about that playoff game could be something you use later on this year.
It sure is, and what we've talked about, having the start in the season that we have, and that so-called target on your back, when you start hitting rankings and you get a start and like we've had, we have to talk about it, right? Because it's out there, and we have to be aware of it, and you got to understand that it's really just a number, right? It really is. It probably loses you more games than it'll win you on stuff. So, but that's why we've talked about it. You got to understand that, if somebody's chasing you and you have the target, they're going to bring your A game every single game, and we need to be prepared and ready for that. Some nights we're not going to have our A game. We know our opponent is going to bring it, so we got to grind those out, and we got to find ways to come out on top on those. And I think us talking about it, and we're aware of it and understanding that, some teams have our games circled on their calendar at times. And so we need to make sure that we're prepping and being ready for these type of games. And it's just not on game days. You can't just flip the switch when it comes to game days, and you got to prep hard. You got to outwork them in practice, the days leading up to the game, to give yourself a chance to outwork them in the game. So, yeah, it's definitely, to be able to play the underdog role. I think over the last few years in our program, we've been able to do that a little bit as we were building this. And now, and we're in the spot where we're at, we need to kind of flip the switch a little bit and say, all right, we need to understand what's coming into, this next game, who's coming in, or if we're on the road, and make sure that we're prepared and ready to go.
3 games this week, Coach. Target will be on your back. I think that's pretty clear at this point. It all starts Tuesday at Appleton East. We'll see you in the gym, and good luck on Tuesday night.
Thank you. We'll see you there.
It's simple but true. Time is money. At Sherrill Tire and Service, we have over 20 mobile service trucks to get you rolling and growing again. Sherrill Tire and Service Centers, your locally owned farm tire dealer.